Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? It's WrestleMania week, Tony, so there's no point even trying to come up with an intro. We just done it without even thinking about it. I think you do my usual stop, and just throw into it. I said, "Are you ready?" And it turned into wrestling.
There you go. There you go. A natural segue.
A natural segue into an episode that's just going to be me and you. We've tried getting everyone involved tonight. I even tried bringing Ash back, but Ash is not well. Woody's at work, and the third can't even see at the moment. Bless his heart.
And I know it's nothing to do with me. I showered only 3 days ago. I'm fresh. Like, there's no reason I've not offended anyone. I don't think there's no reason they're not here. It must be you. Must be you, bruv.
I mean, I've offended a guy called Ron on the internet. That's about the person I've offended this week. It's been a bit of a weird week since we posted our last content, Tony, because that video kind of just come out of nowhere. Wasn't meant to go from our podcast page, but now we can go live on TikTok and do some good for the world.
Happy accident. Happy accident. But it's all come from something good as well, man. You voiced an opinion that should be voiced, and hopefully we've shut at least one troll up. Job done, mate. Job done.
It was, like I said, it was not intentionally meant to go from our page. It was meant to go from my page. But like I say, actual happy accident because we always keep saying that we're bringing more and more stuff. And if we can do stuff where we can help raise awareness for things that mean stuff to all of us,
Hmm.
absolute bonus. I've noticed I am really pale. Obviously, I've got this new ring light. It's a different one to the other. That's a bit better. Got a bit of colour. You look nice and tanned over there. I look really pale.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely looking like you got your budget light going on tonight, but you've done it. You've run out. You've bought what you could. You've made it out of a box of scraps in a cave. Well done, mate. Well done.
Like again, it's another happy accident because I was meant to bring all I took all my stuff back to my house, my microphone, everything for the first time to set up for me and you. It's your fault really because me and you were going to record last week. I set it all up and we obviously you got a bit busy so we couldn't record and I've left it all there when I was meant to bring it today and now I've ended up with a second set of stuff. So now it actually means I don't have to take the stuff back and forth. I've got stuff in each place.
You can thank me. You can thank me instead of blaming me. Then
I will do when I get the 45 quid out of you I've just spent I didn't have. So it's
I've got
WrestleMania week,
twins,
Tony.
man.
You've got twins, yeah.
Apparently, it is.
It's WrestleMania week. I mean, I don't know. Is there much going on in the wrestling world? I mean, everything's been a bit tame on the wrestling front. I'd say. Has it? Fuck.
Mate, you wasn't here for the talk me and Woody had about how. Well, I sent you a voice note, so you do know. You do know. I think some of our watchers and some of our listeners will know that I am very, very excited about WrestleMania. Excited for this Mania than I have been for any WrestleMania in my adult life, and with fucking good reason. Is it's a totally different time to be a WWE fan. We've gone through some shit. There's a lot of real world stuff that let's probably not go into. Let's just look at the entertainment, which is absolutely spot on. Like we got comparisons to the Attitude Era in terms of like how things are layered and like interweaving, and everyone's got something to do with something else, and everyone's got a sort of a main story arc, a subplot, and then like a plan C almost. Everyone's interweaved. It's amazing. We've got a bit of edginess. We've seen some blood. We're seeing hearing some four-letter words. Promos are a little more natural. Everything's looking fucking roses at the minute.
Like you say, that it's like the curtain's been lifted in a way that we've been clamoring for so long. And yes, it's never going to be the Attitude Era again. There were certain things in the Attitude Era that it's just not okay to do anymore. Bra and panties matches being the first thing that comes to mind, because
Yeah.
it's objectifying. But if we can just bring the edge back with, I mean, have it. I mean, all right, okay. Everyone was saying that the Rock's trying to milk it for because he's the Rock and stuff like that. But having the man that is the biggest name in the world of entertainment back home where
Hmm.
he belongs and bringing his knowledge of the entertainment world that he's got with him, it's helping along with
Yeah.
Hunter's mind. which I'm dying.
Yeah,
I'm dying to see Hunter turn up. Hunter's got to turn up and do something with this. He's the guy that's obviously booking everything that we know.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him. Much like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Austin or Cena or a bunch of other names from the past. Maybe Taker, because Taker's definitely got his sort of history with Roman as well. Whether we see Triple H or not, because I don't know, is the guy actually too much professional since he's been since Vince has gone and he's really like stepped up the game and in term stepped up the
Yeah,
game and yeah, and started delivering all this excellent booking stuff. We have we really seen him on screen bar like a few
no.
little WWE.com segments.
And he definitely hasn't been involved this year that I can think of, this side of the year.
Yeah, and he's not the authority figure. He is an authority figure, but he is doing that behind the
He's
curtain.
not an on-screen authority figure that we used to have him. We've now
Yeah,
got final boss, which I'm not gonna lie, who would have ever thought that the Ross would actually basically own the company?
mate, it's madness, isn't it? When like people message me, because I've got a bunch of mates who have watched. Of course, everyone watched in the Attitude Era, who have long since fallen off, but know that I'm a dork and proud of it, and will watch wrestling. So I've got a few messages like, Does The Rock actually own WWE? Is it a storyline? I'm like, believe it or not, it's fucking both now. Like, and of course he doesn't own it. He's a part of the board and what have you. But yeah, I mean, to a Laps fan, if you catch wind of that online, well, that must be pretty cool. Like, I'd kind of like to be in their shoes for a day when they're hearing all this buzz and hearing all this news, and we've got a 3-year champion in Roman Reigns. We've got that guy Cody Rhodes is the hottest thing in the world right now, and Triple H runs the show. The Rock owns the show. It must be nuts to hear if you're just kind of a lapsed casual fan.
It's like every time I talk to somebody and I'm like, oh, have you been seeing what's going on? Someone I know that has been into wrestling at some point. Have you seen a bit what's been going on in wrestling? Nah, man, I ain't fucking watched that in ages. He got really pwned a few years ago, so I just started watching it. I'm like, you need to watch now. Like, yeah, because it did actually get to a point where I think we all generally thought that WWE may be like on its way out because the independents were rising and stuff like that. And it was kind of like, well, how do we bring it back? Okay, Vince, you can fuck up as many times as you want because then we can push you out. And Vince has done some amazing things for the fucking business. We can't argue that, but he's also done a lot of things that he shouldn't have done. So him moving out, what's that proven? That the product isn't stuck in the same routine it's been in for 30 years. And it's so good to watch.
Yeah,
And he's trying to
yeah,
explain to people that no, you're not seeing the same thing you've seen a million times. You're seeing a new approach to it
no,
and we need to keep moving. And mate, you said
yep,
WrestleMania is exciting for you. Like, I'm genuinely like gutted that I'm going to be missing night one because I'm at work, but I'm going to have my phone on, and then Sunday, whether we like it or not. I mean, you best be up for this. Like, we're going live, mate. We're going live to watch it.
mate. I'll definitely be a part of it. I don't know if I'll do the whole show. Do you know what? Scrap that. I won't do the whole show. I'm not doing the main event. Like as big and talk point as that is one match, one segment that I am gonna put my phone down, screen down. I'm not gonna be fucking doom scrolling or anything like that. Eyes on the prize, man. This is cinema. This is the pinnacle of all wrestling at the minute. I've never been so excited for one match. And the kicker for me, I don't know about you, I can't lose. If Roman wins, I'll love it. If Cody wins, I'll love it. I can't lose, man.
I say I'm more. I'd be a lot happier if Cody wins, but I think more because I think could I deal with another year of the story? That's where my head goes. But let's say if,
Mhm.
if Roman wins, either side is going to be a shock factor because it's finally happening that it's changed. Or oh
Yeah,
no, like we generally started to think it is going to change, and it's not. It's going to be the same thing, and it's going to grow now because the Rock's even more involved. Or again, we don't know what a million things can happen. You say you're excited for one match, man. I'm excited for
exactly.
every match that's involved in that, and there's like four.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited for the whole card. this Mania has been like just again Triple H's deal. It's just been expertly put together. But yeah, the main story arc with the interweaving. So on the last video with Woody, I explained that how we've got Cody versus Roman, and then almost just by happy accident, we've got Cody versus Rock, and then somewhere in the middle, somehow we've got Cody versus Roman and Rock. How you've got three different storylines with only like three different people that all make sense. They're not like jumbled up. It's not like a clusterfuck. It's not a gang shag. It all makes sense. It's all paced so
But
well.
what about
You're
Jimmy and
not
Jay?
getting
That's
like,
involved in it as well.
well, yeah, and that's what I mean as well. So you got Jimmy and Jay, which is definitely going to have some form of implication. I'd say on the main event, whether they end up having their sibling fight. I've only got a sister who's 8 years younger than me. We've never had a proper scrap, but I know plenty of brothers that have had a scrap, and I'm not talking about real life. Have had a scrap, and they just come out of it happier and friends. Is that going to happen with Jay and Jimmy? Possibly. Are they going to stay their separate ways? And what does that mean for the main event? Either way, again, that's major implications. And then talking about Seth. Seth is involved with the main event because he's a part of that tag team match that is going to dictate what kind of match we have on Sunday. So Seth's involved with Rock and Roman. Seth's also involved with Punk. Seth's also involved with Drew.
Becky.
Amazing interweaving there. And then let's take it a step, again, maybe like this is a bit fantasy booking, but is Money in the Bank going to be involved with Seth and Drew and Punk? And if it is it going to be Priest or is it going to be Balor? Who's got the contract? Like, mate, there's so much to go on. And I've said this once and I'll say it again. I'm that excited for this show and I'm that excited about everything that could happen. Even if it kind of flops and it doesn't hit the mark for me, which I can't imagine it not doing, if this WrestleMania ends up being the WrestleMania that tried to come but ends up pissing, I'm still happy that I experienced this build.
Oh, mate, that's what I'm saying. Even the build alone, like, it's one of them things, isn't it? It's like a really good movie where you have the best movie ever, but you like the ending, like the bad guy gets beaten within 2 minutes, and you go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a great film, but actually they could have done with that better. But I actually really enjoyed the rest of it. I enjoyed what else
How
was.
do you reckon this is going to compare to like other favorite WrestleManias of yours, like and like favorite WrestleMania moments? So, what kind of sticks out to you as your I don't know, throw two, three out at me your best WrestleMania moments or WrestleMania shows, and how you think it's going to compare with this.
See, I'm gonna be honest, like it's mine is so easy to say because my best WrestleMania moments all involve The Rock. Like The Rock is always
Mm-hmm.
what's kept me in wrestling when I'm not watching wrestling. It's usually the longest of time I've been away from wrestling is when he's been away from it the longest. So that's when I start.
Mm-hmm.
When he's involved, I'm always there. So my first WrestleMania that I watched when I got back into wrestling and SummerSlam 2000 was where I started rewatching WWF. My first WrestleMania was 17, so that will always be my favorite
Okay.
WrestleMania. I mean, you look at everything that happened on that show, every match, like you said, there had a story. The Vince McMahon versus Shane,
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker and Triple H was that one, my
Yeah.
first ever match. Um, the TLC, but then you've got this whole Rock and Austin thing that's overpowering it all, and how it went down, and that I remember the fucking disappointment in Austin because it's like, really, really, you've got. I mean, it was a shock because no one ever expected him to go that way, but it was how they dealt with it, how they dealt with it the night after. Where they suspended The Rock, even though we all knew he was going off to film The Scorpion King, that's what we really knew. But
Mm-hmm.
he was getting suspended, and the fact that that led into one of the best returns ever. I'm going to lift the suspension of a certain superstar. 2001 will always be my favorite year of wrestling because it's when I watched it religiously the most until he came back again in 2007.
Yeah, it was a
2011.
good year,
What's
and I feel
yours?
like 2001 as well. sorry, I was going to say about 2001 first. Is I feel like that was kind of the last year we had as like me and my school buddies all watching it. Things died off, and some people might blame the Austin Hill turn on that. Some people might just sort of say the end of WCW caused WWE to rest on their laurels, and it got a bit boring. And I can agree with both things. But yeah, I feel like 2001 was the last year that everyone was watching it.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, I know a lot of people knock the WCW, like the invasion storyline, but I hadn't watched enough WCW or ECW by that point to really know who the big stars were. I knew of Hogan, Hall and Nash and NWO,
Yeah,
but when they come
all
in,
the
to
ex
me that
WWE guys.
yeah. So the big storyline and how it played out for me when they brought these WCW guys in, then they brought the NWO in. Then I actually really enjoyed that because to me it was like over 3 years we got like more and more WCW stars. But I get that what the invasion angle that WCW and the attitude, the Monday Night Wars guys wanted was the big guys versus the big guys at the beginning, which it would have been amazing. But to me, that
Yeah.
year was amazing because most of it was about The Rock. The Rock won the WCW Championship. The Rock won the Survivor
Hmm.
Series. Rock lost at WrestleMania, but it built up to everything that happened afterwards. And then he lost to Chris Jericho. Um,
Hmm.
Vengeance, the Undisputed Championship. I'm still never happy about that ending. That The Rock and Austin didn't win that.
Do you know Vengeance for me as a bit of a bad taste in my mouth? So I was watching it live, and I was watching the whole show, and then I fell asleep during the main event. I just KO'd, and then I woke up, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw fucking Vince raising Jericho's hand on the ramp with both belts, and I was like, I've missed it all, and I've literally just spoiled it just by waking up at that exact moment. I've not actually ever gone back to watch that match in full because it's never been the match itself has never been talked about, so I don't feel like I'm missing much. But yeah, I feel like I got spoiled myself because I woke up at just the right or the wrong time.
I don't know. Personally, for me, obviously I love Jericho. I do love Jericho, but for me, like I think I was still holding on to a proper Rock Austin rematch from WrestleMania that year, and we never got it. Like
Mhm.
when Rock first come back, he brought up Stone Cold. I haven't forgotten Stone Cold, but then Booker T come out, so it was aimed across Booker T. Then they got the invasion storyline, and yes, it was Rock and Austin at the end, but Kurt Angle got involved, and it kind of lessened the win for The Rock, really. I think
Yeah,
The Rock deserved that win, and he'd lost twice at WrestleMania at this point. And I know he got his win on the third one, but let's face it, the third Rock Austin, if anyone, like Austin was literally retiring that night, and no one knew, it wasn't the same, nowhere near like the other two. So again, it felt like a cheapened Rock win. I think it should have been like even odds, even 1-1, and then going into the third.
yeah,
I know it's not planned, but like it always seemed like the Rock come up short with it all.
yeah. I agree, and it kind of it's strange that you say that because you listen off a few of the Rock's shortcomings there, and the fact that he was actually only the Rock and like super hot for like 2 to 3 years. It's like how much it has this guy got to make such an impact of having such a yeah, he won title after title, but it was in the days of like hot potato, and some of them were meaningless. Like you had the tag championships with Jericho and Undertaker for like I think for a night or maybe a week each. And yeah, and it was all done in such a short amount of time. And look at him; a living legend, like, who could possibly have his own Hall of Fame class when he goes in. You know,
Mm.
amazing. Dwayne the Rock Johnson just has it in absolute fucking buckets and spades.
In everything he does, like he turns everything to gold. Like the man started his own fucking tequila, and it's now one of the most sought after tequilas. The man's got his own.
Mhm.
He's just brought out some like cream you can rub on yourself, and I'm looking at it going, I want to look like the Rock. I want to shine like
Yeah,
the Rock. I want to get that cream. Like you just want to be the Rock.
but you do know that cream is not going to put 15 inches on your arm.
Oh, that's where I
Yeah,
wanted to rub
yeah.
it, to be honest. But I'm glad I know. Come on, make the Rock's arms look bigger. For anyone that's listening on just audio, I was doing a wanky motion then. We forget that we're talking dogs, we get a little bit too serious. But yes, that's my favorite WrestleMania, pretty much my favorite era of all time. What's yours?
Mhm.
What's the first WrestleMania you think of WrestleMania? You think big ones? You're gonna say WrestleMania 17 and go right, move on. We've talked about it.
Nah, for me, I've got two standout WrestleManias and then one WrestleMania match. The first WrestleMania that means a lot to me is WrestleMania 1. Now, even though
Two
it was
years before
actually
you were born.
before, exactly, yeah, it was
Okay.
before I was born. But it's one of the first tapes my cousin Damon lent me.
Uh,
So he gave me two wrestling tapes when I was younger, and one was WrestleMania 1 and SummerSlam 88, I think it was, where it was the Mega Powers versus Andre Giant and Ted DiBiase.
oh yeah.
And I just watched them. I just watched them. I wore out the tapes. I just had them on repeat constantly. Play, finish, rewind. And yeah, those two tapes were kind of instrumental in me becoming very interested in wrestling. That coupled with Hogan himself and British Bulldog, and the fact that one of my coolest cousins was into it. Yeah. So yeah, WrestleMania 1 is important to me. I can't really name many of the matches, and I can't tell you how many of them like I was like amazed by. But the event itself, I knew was a big deal.
I know that Mr.
The
T was there.
Mr. T was there in the tag match, yeah, definitely. So it was him. It was Mr. T, Hogan versus Piper and Orndorff, and then you had Muhammad Ali as the special enforcer on the outside. I think Liberace was the timekeeper. Pat Patterson was there as well, and then yeah, there's a whole bunch of different names, just to pull in the pop culture crowd for the rock and wrestling movement. The second WrestleMania as a show for me was 20 years on from WrestleMania 1 is WrestleMania 20. It was obviously the main event was Triple H, Benoit, Shawn Michaels, but it was the WrestleMania where it started again. It was in Madison Square Garden. It had a real new edge and feel to it. You knew it was going to be a big deal. And yeah, it was the first WrestleMania I had as like a WrestleMania party. I had a couple of buddies round, and we all watched it live. And yeah, just really happy memories about that night. And then the third WrestleMania moment, WrestleMania match, is Hogan versus Rock,
Yeah,
WrestleMania 18.
that's
Just watched it the other night. The match itself is fucking terrible. Like, if you take away all the sound and all the flash bulbs and the commentary and strip it all down, and if you replace Dwayne with any other guy and Hogan with any other guy and they perform the same moves, it is a terrible match.
it.
But because of who they are and the environment, chef kiss.
It is. It's one of them. In it, like realistically, The Rock hasn't got like a massive array of moves. Hogan was was a massive one, but these guys they know how to control a room with those simple. This is
Yeah,
what makes them megastars. Like Cena, the same thing. The fight they used to call it the fight. Was it the five moves of doom or something? That was.
yeah, yeah,
He's got five moves, but they can take every move. But then when you put two of them together, where it's just a limited set of moves, it's just like, can these two create that magic of a match without actually doing much of a match and just control that room? And yes, they fucking did.
yeah,
Just by turning their heads. The fact that they realized very quickly the crowd was siding with Hogan, the heel, over, and they slot
yeah,
like that just shows pure star power. You can't get bigger than that
yeah,
in any sense at that moment in time.
yeah. And it was a huge deal because of obviously Rock versus Hogan. Hogan to me was now he was back home. I didn't really see much of him in WCW as a British kid. You kind of had to really, apart from the year or two it was on Channel 5, you had to really go out of your way to find WCW. So
Yeah.
I didn't really see much of him there. So having him back home where I knew him from versus the guy who I now idolize, it was just, yeah, such a sweet, sweet moment. And again, there was a few people at school who had kind of like dropped off a little bit, but they were back on board because Hogan was back. Their childhood hero, Hogan, was there. It was amazing times.
I love that. I'm not gonna lie, I've had to sort of I'm staring at you because your screen has completely frozen. You are literally lost in a
Oh,
look of your sound is perfect. Your sound is going great. You've come back now just a bit.
cool.
Right, you're moving. You're not moving as fluid as you should be. It's really weird because before I was looking at you thinking your camera quality looks the nuts, but I think you're back now. Yeah, there you are. Your head's back to normal
Yeah,
movement. I can't wait to
cool.
see that in the video. You literally just went, your face went like this. You literally like lost in a complete world of pure. What's the word that they say? What's the fucking word they use when you give one of them looks? Smolder. The smolder look. Pure smolder out there. Um, yeah, but back to Rock and Austin. I not Rock and Austin, sorry, Rock and Hogan.
The other guy, yeah.
Like, did you? Because obviously the main event technically of that night was Triple H Jericho, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
WrestleMania 8, and the reason I don't put that as my favorite WrestleMania is because I don't, other than Austin Scott Hall, and I remember that for all the wrong reasons, and Undertaker
Hmm.
Ric Flair, I don't remember anything else. 17, I can remember pretty much every match that was on it because it's not just
Hmm.
what was the main event for me. It was like for me, WrestleMania 8 is all about Rock and Hogan. If I go back and watch it, that's what I'm going to watch. Is that one match? Everything else is kind of I watched it the
Exactly.
once when it happened, but and I just about remember what happened. And then you got to
Yeah.
WrestleMania 19, obviously Rock Austin, and then he did one more WrestleMania, didn't he? Left for a few years, my man, and he left by getting beaten by Evolution. That was an awkward time.
Mate, that blew for me. Like now after reading a bunch and hearing interviews and having the curtain lifted and stuff, you kind of understand what was happening, what that situation was. But what coming back to lose, mate, like I say, we I had a WrestleMania party going on, and when that happened, oh boy, did the atmosphere get sucked out of my living room? Then it was just like like
Eh,
I felt guilty for bringing these boys around and saying, oh yeah, that WrestleMania that happened. Like, sorry guys.
I get that they were planning that the continued rise of evolution, but it's one
Mhm.
of them like it's Rock and Foley, like it's 3-on-2. The three guys winning. He's like it was such a bad decision. I think like it was like I get it. You're trying to prove that evolution is a dominant force, but that to me sounds like
Yeah,
Vince probably listening to Triple H. Yeah, let my guys win that one. Don't worry about Rock and Foley. They won't be here next
yeah.
week when they deserve to win it. It was the novelty side of having Rock and Sock together more than anything.
Do you know what else I'll take away from that match as well? I might be wrong. It might be just my view on it, but I feel like that was the first time I really woke up and said the RKO is an out of nowhere move because the match was kind of just like treading along, and then boom, he just smacked Foley with the RKO and it was over just out of nowhere. And again, I think that was a part of what sucked the air out of the room was, was all into it, was kind of enjoying the pace, and then finished just fucking so quick and literally out of nowhere.
It's
So, again, good things came from that, the out of nowhere movement, didn't it? He got a bit of internet fame from that.
so that to be honest, that is where wrestling for me, like that moment when Rock and Foley left, and you knew the Rock weren't going to be back for a while. Other than I think he appeared, he did the Eugene thing, he did like, the odd
Oh,
appearance
yeah.
here and there.
The
It,
Diva Search.
the Diva search, yeah, I remember that with Orton again. It like I stopped. That's when I stopped watching the rest of it. Like I kind of knew what was going on because I was still doing wrestling, but I was kind of out of it. And it was when he came back, 2011, that I got back into it, and that's when I fell in love with CM Punk when he come back for Rock Cena, and that the fact that that storyline technically built up for years because Cena said them
Hmm.
comments a good couple of years before he actually fucking went into the Hall of Fame, and Rock mentioned it. That story was just being
Yeah.
built for so long, like Rock and Roman, to be honest. Again, we all know probably this is going to lead to eventually Rock versus Roman, which we were gonna get, but we're
Yeah.
not. It's going to lead to it. It's that The Rock has longevity in his stories. That's one thing that No, man, he's still going. There's still people who talk about that Cena might come help him or Cena might turn on him. Like
Yeah,
that's 13 years ago. That could still happen. Austin could still come. Austin only come back for one match, but because he's done a few
yeah,
lifts in the gym, people were expecting him to turn. And the Cena and Austin lorry that was on Raw last week, which was
yeah.
I was desperately trying to get you and Woody to listen to that voice note so you spoke about it because I was going to be listening. I listened to the podcast on the way home, so it was quite nice and refreshing for me to hear my podcast without me and not know what's going to happen. The podcast I've been, that's the first time I've not been involved in it, and it was actually listening to it. Like I don't know where this is going. I don't know how they're going to end it. I don't know how they're going to do this. But it was, I don't know
Just
why.
the beginning of a hostile takeover. We've got Ash out. It's time to get you out. This is me and Woody's show now.
Yeah, okay. Come at me, fam. I mean, I'll be the wrestler I used to be, but I can still bring that shit. Don't you worry about that. Okay, we've spoke about our favourite WrestleManias, but something else that when I said to you, what should we talk about today? It's just going to be me and you. Like, it's now going to be me and you. What could we talk about that me and you both lived through and grew up during, and have probably said we're going to talk about a million times since we met each other, and have only ever
Hmm.
dipped the surface of? Is that era that people
Just
just
putting the
didn't realize
tip
how good
in.
it was. Just a literally little dab in, little tip in there, little put that dip in. Um, it's the 90s. I mean, he may not look it.
Mm.
Tony may look 22, but we're not. You know, if you got closer, you could see a lot more grey hairs than you realise. But I put my headphones over so you don't do it. Tony just amends his beard. So
Do I fuck? I'm embracing the salt and pepper. I'm embracing the grey. I'm ready for it, mate.
I hate every single one of them. I hate it. I'm not okay with it, especially because like the hair's going up the top here. So it's. Have you got grey chest hairs? I have. It's not okay.
Mate, I've got grey in any place hair grows now. And it's growing, like, even though it's gone from the head, it's growing in more places across my body. And there's just fucking little grey flecks coming out here, there, and everywhere. Not happy about any of that, of being, like a shaved down Chewbacca, but it is
But
what it is. Half Portuguese. It's part of the part of the DNA.
before we talk about our 90s childhood and how amazing that was, let me tell you about shoulder fucking hairs. Like, why do I get hairs on my damn shoulder just growing up there? Like, why? What is the point of that? Like, what good does that do for anybody? Like, how unsexy is that when you look around and you just see like something like,
Yeah,
why? Like my Batman tattoo's
yeah,
got a bush fucking thing. But the
yeah, man.
90s.
Yeah, this is part of aging that sucks, eh?
But let's go back. Let's try and go back. Let's go back.
Mhm.
How long ago was the 90s? 25 years ago was the 90s. Wow. I don't know if I can remember
But
what the
that's
years.
the last day of the 90s was like 24, 25 years ago. Yeah, the last days. But obviously, I don't remember very much of 1990 and 91, quite young. What I do remember is at some point in the 80s is asking my nan what happens after 1989, what happens to the years. So, didn't understand.
You were quite clever.
Little did I know. Yeah. And little did I know it was going to be 1990 and the best decade ever. It might be subjective because I haven't lived through a heck load of decades, but come on,
Well, we've lived
it
through
must be hard to argue.
half of 18, 90, 2000, 2002. Dude, we've lived through four or five of them. There's not many more we can live through, to be fair.
That's disgusting now you say it like that.
Yeah, I started. The more I went through, it's like there was the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2002. There's 5 decades we've lived across now. That's bullshit. Whoa, that's not
Well, bruv,
okay.
like, and do you know what's not okay? We've just spoke about him a whole bunch. And, it's people like that. People like The Undertaker, people like The Rock, people like Stone Cold who have wrestled in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 10s, in the 20s. 4 decades these guys have wrestled through. And, when you talk about the Ric Flairs, you kind of understand that. Like, of course, he's wrestled forever. He was old when we were young. This makes sense. These guys, I remember quite vividly in the sort of tail end of the 90s, The Rock being touted as the youngest WWE champion. He was
Yeah,
the youngest. Now he's 50 odd. In fact, The Rock is it The Rock we was talking about? I think it's The Rock. Is it a year? No, it's Billy Gunn, of course. Of course, it's Billy Gunn.
oh, Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn is a year older. So Billy Gunn's 60. He's a year older than the Iron Sheik was in the gimmick Battle Royal in WrestleMania.
Wow.
Sheiky was 59 in that Battle Royal.
And Billy Gunn still looks about 35.
PEDs, mate. Oh, do wonders.
No, literally, you're saying that, but it's also scary. Like you say, when you think back to some of our heroes, like when you like just looking at that 80s, 90s thing, we've just gone across 5 decades, which I hadn't ever thought about in my life. Now, when you go, some of our heroes, we've watched them grow, and yes, things are different now. Like then you see a lot of that now. Like back in 1982, this is what a 39-year-old looked like, and
Mhm.
an old man looking, and now a 39-year-old looks really young, which is weird. But
Yeah,
at the same time, we're still watching them get older. These people that we grew up loving, and it's scary because like we've lost some big names for our eras. We've lost some big fucking
yeah,
names. Like some that should, like Bray Wyatt, should never have been gone ever so young. Wow, this is getting
yeah.
emotional. Let's talk about the 90s, Tony, before we start getting.
But but to just to sort of that age thing, yeah, we've obviously we've grown a lot older, whether we feel it, whether we think it, we've grown a lot older, and we just touched on people that we've watched, for our child, if not teenage years, and into adulthood, and grown with us, and they don't seem like, to me, some of them don't seem a heck of a lot older, and there's some that have like even like managed to like stop in time. So like if you have a look at maybe um few names out there, Keenan and Kel, they don't look like they've aged much. Mario
No, not
Lopez doesn't look like he's aged much.
Jennifer Aniston.
You know, Jennifer Aniston. There's a bunch of people that we watched who were older teens or grown-ups in the 90s, and they're doing fantastic. So there's something to celebrate. Some people are doing it right.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'd love to have their money to have their surgeons. It'd be great. Be fantastic. Um, but yeah, oh mate, when you think of the 90s though, right? What obviously it's my easiest answer when I instantly think right when I go back to the 90s, first thing I think of is obviously Power Rangers. But like
Hmm.
it's the obvious answer. But when I was thinking this earlier, I mean Tony going to talk 90s. What do I actually think about? And it it kind of went into Stand By Me and thinking of that era of my life of Stand By Me, being 12 or younger and venturing the adventure side of things. I
Hmm.
think kids these days
Yeah,
don't have the adventures that we had, building dens in forests and stuff like that. Or yeah,
mm.
so but for you, when you think 90s, where does your head instantly go?
So I grew up on a quite a small estate called Heverden in North Finchley in North London, and I lived in a few houses. Like got shifted around, but that is like the encapsulation of the 90s for me. Was Heverden Close, is being able to go out onto to the street, because on if someone's not familiar with a council estate, it is just a bunch of houses and flats with enclosed roads, so there's no main traffic. So we just went out, like, soon as like we woke up, out on our skates, out on our bikes, playing Wembley singles against the wall, just dossing about in the street, and just like having a bunch of kids, like this actual community, a bunch of kids. Like, even though I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, hanging around with kids who were like 4, 5, 6, because they were the youngest brothers and sisters of other kids on my estate, and being able to hang around with older kids. Um, we won't
Shit,
talk
I'm
about
boy.
Lido the pedo. Shit, come. But man, yeah, it's just that I feel like I got to experience so much just because of the kids I was hanging around. So like, yeah, I was at the age I was at, and I was into the things I was into. But then the older kids would sort of like say, like lean me into something, but like, maybe talk about more grown up music or grown up TV shows that I could watch. And
All the
the
dirty
smaller
magazines
kids
they
just
found
kind
around
of,
the back of the shops.
oh, a bit of shrub grot. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
stuffed into the bush, a bit of shrub grot. And then like the younger kids would sort of just like, it sounded like old fart for time, but keep me in touch with like the young stuff, like playing with like youngens toys or whatever, and listening to what they were watching, and what I think it was just perfect, man. And I've got so many memories, and the more I talk about the memories as memories work, the more they unlock.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, probably rose tinted glasses. There's probably a lot of shit that was rubbish about it, but rose tinted glasses, and you push all the negative away and just left with this
Innocence.
core memory of just innocence, happiness, like, and naivety. Again, very naive of going down to the woods for with Lido the pedo.
If you haven't
But yeah,
heard that
man.
story, go over to our YouTube and watch our Dream Comics. Trust me. Reference.
But yeah, a whole bunch of memories there, and it's really strange how I can look back on it and, like, for some reason, I don't know if this is an old person thing, but you're like, oh, the school summer holidays, they lasted forever. They were Every day was a blue sky in the summer holidays. Everything was just fucking amazing. Everything was cheap. My mum gave me £5 and I went to Woolworths, I went to Maggie's, I went to the cinema, I went swimming, and I still came back with change for like a pack of Merlin stickers for my Premiership sticker book. I don't know how much of that is fact, but fuck it. If that's how I remember it, that's how I
Yeah.
want to remember it until I'm done.
Yeah, because it, I mean, yeah, obviously we live in a cost of living crisis, so everything is more expensive nowadays. But then back in them days, like we'd have like they say a fiver's pocket money you got each week would go like so many ways because it wasn't like yeah, kids nowadays they want the credit for their phones, they want everything. We didn't have any of that. We would just stick a book
Hmm.
we'd be happy with. We can go over the park, we can go climb some trees. Nowadays, I feel like the kids can't even do that because you're worried that some other kid's going to turn up with a knife. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I lived in Basildon. I grew up in Basildon, and next door to me is a place. My house in the state I lived on, there was a place called Gloucester Park. It was literally, I've always called it my back garden. Big park with tennis courts. It had everything in it. It's got hills, it's got lakes, it's got a swimming pool, it's got all of it in. And you could just at one place with a fiver in your pocket, you can go swimming, get your pot noodle, get something like that. Then you can go over the park afterwards, play in the park, go climb the trees, go over the hills, go like we literally used to have. I remember trying to take my kids. Or the stepkids across to where one of our dens used to be, and I literally went down there, and there was some homeless people living there now. But like it was just, I was like, sort of looking at it, going, this is like open space, and that's why I said it reminds me of Stand By Me because this park to me was my Stand By Me place. It was the where we used
Mm.
to go walking. There was no train tracks, but we used to go walk along the river. We'd go find a den where we'd put like we'd get some shitty like cushion or something that we found in a bush. We'd build our own little
Yeah.
den, sit there and tell ghost stories. We'd make a little fire because we'd somehow get someone to buy us a box of matches because we
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
hard. And then someone, like we said, would go find that dirty porn magazine around the back of the shop or in a bush
Yeah.
all sitting there laughing about it. You don't get that nowadays. They can do all of that by sitting in their bedroom and just do it
Yeah.
from home and watch it all. Like there's no sense
Do
of
you,
adventure without danger.
there isn't. There isn't, and things change all the time. I'm guessing when we were kids, like, there would have been grown-ups and adults who were like, "Oh, you're not living, you're not doing the same. You're sitting there on your Mega Drive and you're playing your Sonic and you're watching all these
Yeah,
cartoons and you're eating all this shit and all the rest of it." And maybe we're just taking it in turns. But I hope that even if the kids are doing that, what we think is fucking zombifying of, like, all their social interaction is through a screen or very rarely outdoors or physically together. I hope at least when they grow up, they can sit back and, like we're doing now, record their own fucking podcast and be like, "Oh, how good was the 20s?" Which is a weird fucking thing to say.
mate. This
But
talk about the
hopefully they
nineties
can
has
do
made me
that,
feel so fucking old. Like we sound like just old dads having a conversation.
mate.
We sound like
Pe- People like there's people in school now who refer to it as the 1900s. I mean, it is correct, but why have you got to put that spin on it? The
yeah, it's not okay.
1900s, man.
It was only last
Um,
week. It feels like it was only last
yeah,
week. Some of it.
but so something's happened recently, and I do want to bring this up while we're on this subject for sure. So, Gladiators is back. It's been
Mm.
renewed for a second season. It's if you haven't watched it, it is so much like the old 90s version. It's not like the remake that Sky One done 10 years ago or whatever. Like, this is
With
as
Nicole.
close as you can make it. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He was in there as well. Do you remember his gladiator name?
I oh,
I
ah,
don't, so you can make anything up.
it was something like Warrior or something like that. It was just
See, yeah, I've got a feeling it was Warrior. It wasn't Magnus because that was his TNA thing. But yeah, so Gladiators is back, second season coming up, and really cool. Now, two things have happened in the last week or two that have made me gone, ah, it's still got it. And it's not me watching it thinking that it is so much like the 90s version, it makes me happy. Two things have happened. One is I was walking to work and walked past this big bunch of school kids being walked to school by their parents. I think, you know, they're probably about 6 or 7, 8, 9-ish, thereabouts. And as they were approaching, one of the kids, this young boy, was saying to his dad, "My favorite gladiator is da da da, and I like this game." And you know, and I could hear him getting excited about gladiators, and I was like, "Oh, that's what we used to do. Like gladiators was a talking point. It was something we was excited to watch." I was like, "That's amazing!" Like, dude, I hope they watch that as a family, and I hope they get some of that same feel. And I hope again in 10, 20 years time they look back and go, "Oh, gladiators, that was a real family moment for us." But then also on TikTok, some of you might have seen that parents are doing these challenges with their kids where the opening credits of Gladiators got all the different gladiators doing all their, you know, all their big poses and whatever. And the kids are doing this like blind challenge. So they put a eye mask on something to cover their eyes, and they act out all the gladiators' moves as they appear on screen. So I'm like, sick. They've watched it that much that they memorized the intro credits. Again, it gave me like just warm and fuzzy feelings thinking that there's kids that are enjoying this, and I hope it's a family thing. I hope that the parents going, I love this as a kid. I love the family Saturday night element of it. I'm going to bring that into my house. And is it working? Like, is that what's happening? Man, fucking buzzing if it is.
there was like a lack of that, wasn't there? And again, it's one of them things that I think lockdown helped with was when, like, 'cause I remember I saw a status, like a memory of status of mine a couple of weeks ago, around when lockdown first happened, and it was something along the lines of Anadec's Saturday Night Takeaway had 15 million viewers this week. That's the first time that's ever happened in since they've been on, because like,
Hmm.
it used to be like that, didn't it? We all used to sit down, Noel's house
Yeah,
party. We'd all watch that. We'd all watch it to see what Mr. Blow was
yeah,
going to get up to, and then we watch that kid that always got a Mega Drive, like some prize, and you sit there going,
yeah,
that should be not that we ever
yeah,
applied to go on there or anything, but every week there was a kid that you were jealous of because they got all them free
yeah.
gifts. Even if it was stuff you had, like, I want it for free. I want to go on there and be that kid. Or Funhouse.
So speaking of Funhouse, I was just about to mention this. Now, this is one, it's a test to see if he actually watches or listens, Luke Potter. But
Yeah,
my
Luke
good
Potter. Who's
buddy,
Luke Potter?
yeah, Luke Potter is a good mate of mine, worked together for a bunch of years. He was on Funhouse when he was a kid. And
Nice.
I think, I'm not sure, like, he has to confirm this on Twitter now, is I think he won a school trip to a castle for his class. And I think he got goodie bags or a Walkman for everyone as well. So yeah, I know someone who was on Funhouse, and yes, if you're listening, which you better be, Luke, fucking reply on Twitter or something, make some noise.
Yeah, let us know. That's really cool. I know a guy that went on Jim will Fix It and he got a nice weekend away.
Hey,
It was me.
oh man, I had Lido the pedo. At least you got a famous one.
Yeah, yeah. I was quite happy. I enjoyed it. No, that's not okay. But
But anyway, Mega Drives and stuff, bikes and roller skates, right?
yeah, no used to give them away for free. Um, let's not go. I'm trying to do everything I can not to start going like down one of them kind of woke conversations again as well, like talking about all the kids, people that we grew up with watching,
Yeah, back
and
away,
now
back
in
away,
prison.
back away.
I mean, Diddy's on the way to prison. What's going on there?
Whole nother show, whole nother show.
Oh, a
Maybe we need
whole
another
nother show.
podcast called The Rabbit Hole.
We should start something like that because we keep trying to go down this road of talking about stuff that we shouldn't do. 90s. Let's talk Something 90s. Let me randomly throw something at you. Something I brought up the other day. I'm sure you got the reference in the WhatsApp group. We haven't done our top five kids shows yet, have we? So we'll talk about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I need to because I feel like the top fives is not enough about this. Erie, Indiana. What is your
So,
knowledge of Erie, Indiana?
so Ryan, as you know, this is how we met. I've got a TikTok, Tony of Bingus, where I unlock 90s memories, and I've done 400 odd now, where I'm, try and unlock memories for people. Erie, Indiana was one, and it was one that I felt like it was one of those shows where I felt like I was the only person to watch it. Like no one
Hmm.
in my friend circle at the time felt like
Me too.
was talking about it, and do you know what? Quite honestly, I don't remember a whole bunch of it. I just remember it being really cool and really different from a lot of the other shows that we were all watching. And it was kind of like that. It kind of had the sort of like eeriness, but like a maturity to it that a lot of kids shows didn't have. And it was, I'd place it somewhere between like, Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark because of that horror feel. But then I'd have to like bring it in to like some old school films as well, like Flight of the Navigator. Where like the kids are the young stars of the show, and even though it was about kids, it had quite a mature backstory to it. I don't remember any episodes. I don't remember character names, but I do remember really, really enjoying it. But you said it might make your top five, right?
It's definitely going in there because it was like it was.
Definitely.
I can't remember what I got onto it. Oh, because Ryan said something about Erie, and my head just went Erie,
Well,
Indiana.
Tim
Woody said
Ash,
it.
another listener of ours, Tim Ash is from Erie, and I think that's what spurred that
That's
on that
right.
conversation.
Sorry, you're right. You said it. That's you. That's where you said it when it was you that said it in the group about. We asked where Tim was from, and you said Erie,
Yeah.
Philadelphia, and I was like, yeah. So like I've then gone on and I've watched the Erie, Indiana on YouTube. I watched the
Okay.
first few
Yeah.
episodes, but I realised something that Erie, Indiana was one of these shows, and it also happened with another favourite show of mine. It's Quantum Leap. The first episode I watched of these shows was the last episode.
Oh.
Yeah, so Quantum Leap, it happened. I saw the very finale episode, so it was really fucking killer. Like, have you ever watched
Right.
Quantum Leap?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's ju-
I don't know if I've. I don't feel like I've seen the last episode. It was one of those things that was on BBC Two, like just after The Simpsons or something through the 90s. Watch it now and again because it just was on. I didn't seek it out.
So the last episode of Quantum Leap, I loved them all, and the last episode of Quantum Leap is obviously the story is Sam steps into this fucking Quantum Leap accelerator, and he goes back and he rights the wrongs of the past, doesn't he, and do that, and he's always trying to leap home. The last episode, he leaps into himself, but he walks into a bar at the moment he was born, so he's himself. Da da da. Turns out at the very end, it turns out Sam. It comes up on the screen. Sam never went home. He had the choice now. He's now got the choice to go wherever he wants, and he never went home. Basically, he decided to carry on doing it. So that's how I started the fucking show, knowing I'm going to watch it. And then I started watching it again.
Ah,
I watched the last episode. The next night, it was the first episode. So I started watching it again, and it went down the route of like, I know that this poor fucker's going to spend the next, how many seasons, and he's never going to get home. It happened the same with Erie Indiana. It's not as like dramatic ending. The last episode of Erie
mhm.
Indiana is set in the real world sort of thing. It's Marshall Teller is the kid's name, by the way. Marshall and Simon were the two kids from it, and Marshall finds a script and he goes back into his house, and a breakfast he's just had with his parents repeats itself, and as he reads the script, it turns out he discovers he's in a TV show, but he's the only one that is still
Ah,
Marshall. So it's like it's quite a big episode to end on.
that's
So
pretty
again,
cool, man.
mate. They're on YouTube. They're 24-minute episodes. That fucking show is so cool, and it had actually the reason. Did you know there's also in Indiana the other dimension, which is another season. So it got cancelled after the first season, but 2 or 3 years later, Fox picked it up when they took on Power Rangers, took on everything else, and it got a resurgence of fans. But obviously, they were like, "Well, we can't really bring the kids
Okay.
back. They've grown up now, sort of thing." So they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
Every Indiana, the other dimension of all two other kids in it, and did. It starts with like a crossover with the old one, basically. Um, but it's just one of them shows, like you say, it's like Goosebumps. It's like Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's a bit more adult because it's a bit more scary, and it's also
Yeah, yeah,
it it sucked you in, didn't it? It's one of them that sucks you in to want more now. Like I want to see the next bit. I
yeah,
want to see the next episode because they're so cool. They're like that we shouldn't be watching this because it's a little bit scary because we're kids,
yeah.
but we're drawn to it because it's weird.
Was the lead kid from Indie? Was he? Sorry, from Erie. Was he also in Hocus Pocus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was Zachary Binks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's again when you first saw it, that's where I recognised his face from. Obviously, when you first see it,
Hmm.
it's the same with Star Trek: The Next Generation. I became a Trekkie because Will Wheaton is Wesley Crusher in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I'd never been into Star Trek, but I saw that. I saw Will Wheaton from Stand By Me, and I'm like, I'm gonna start watching this because I like him, and fell in love, became a Trekkie out of it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Might have to dip into an episode or two just to kind of recall it. Like people that do remember it have really fond memories of it. For some reason, it's just maybe I just gorged on too much content as a kid and it got pushed to the back of the queue. But yeah, on your recommendation, I'm gonna watch a couple.
Well, honest to God, just yeah, just check them out because they're there, and like I said, 24 minutes just to watch one episode. And that's one thing I do love about stuff like YouTube. Like like, you can go on and find all the real Ghostbusters episodes, and it takes you like
Hmm.
I remember having like not the full collection of any TV series as a kid, so I might have the odd episode on
Yeah,
VHS. So you saw them ones 1,000 times, so I'll go specifically look at them episodes, even though there's probably episodes of the real Ghostbusters I've never seen. I want to see them ones I watched 1,000 times as a kid because I want to feel like that
yeah,
7-year-old sitting in my front room watching the real Ghostbusters and hearing that music and knowing that I'm going to see Blue Slimer because that's the one of the stories I remember.
yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah, that's a memory unlocked right there.
Yeah,
Nice.
man.
What? So the real Ghostbusters is one thing, but do you remember the Ghostbusters cartoon
Do you mean the monkey with the monkey?
with the monkey? Yeah, yeah. I don't know who got it for me, but someone got it for me for a birthday or a Christmas or something on VHS and was like, oh, it must have been some old codger, maybe like my granddad or my nan or something like that. Just like,
Who
oh
likes
yeah,
the
he likes the
Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters. Yeah, Ghostbusters probably bought from Wembley Market on Snide or whatever. And then well, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this ain't Ghostbusters. Also I've got I don't know what studio or whoever made this, but I've got some off key He Man as well.
Off-key He-Man.
Yeah, so it was He Man by name. I don't think it had Masters of the Universe in. Skeletor was way different. Um, He Man looked way different as well. He had a different kind of sword that had like a cover around his fist on it as well. Story was similar, but yeah, it was just along with this off-key Ghostbusters. There was off-key He-Man as well. I got on VHS, and
You got the moodies.
yeah, man, I got some moodies. But yeah, I made do with them. I watched them. I
Did
wouldn't
you?
say I burnt them out like I did some other tapes, but
One thing, me and Ash, when we went did our 90s episode before, we were talking about the guy. I don't know if you had. I mean, we grew up in almost the same area. So did you have the guy that used to come around with the suitcase of all the videos?
so we didn't have the suitcase guy. We had the video man who had a video van.
Yeah, we had one of
Um,
them as well. Yeah, yeah.
And I've got like this memory of him pulling up, and it'd always be at my nan's house. It'd pull up, and the van would just be all the videos spine up, but like laid out like a immaculate like laid floor. And so he used to put me, or someone would put me in the van, and I'd go crawling around on the videos about that one, and yeah, just what a memory that was, just crawling along a whole like probably a Luton or a Bedford van full of VHSs and yeah, take that one, and it was probably like it's probably ridiculous now, and it like probably oh you can rent that for a week for 50p or whatever it was, and walk back in with a stack that for all that high, and yeah, Video Man for
Do you
sure.
remember
Yeah, we had one of those.
any particular like cartoon or anything you used to get from the video, man? I can think of one. There was a video that I got repeatedly.
I don't remember any that I went back for. I remember two Three now. Now, again, memories unlock memories. Three videos I remember. One was a Garfield and Friends uh, compilation anthology. There's a couple episodes on it. There was a fucking don't know why I picked this. Pinky and Perky. In fact, I do know why I chose it. The VHS case, if you pressed a button, it would sing "What a bunch of lovely coconuts," and their eyes would light up, and
Do you
it
remember
probably
the
quite sinister
VHSs?
now.
Yeah. The VHSs that
Um,
light up.
and then another one I got was it was something called around the lines of like the aliens at Christmas or the aliens coming for Christmas or something like that, and it was either aliens would come to Earth and celebrate Christmas with a human family, or this human family would go to some alien planet and celebrate Christmas there. Um, really enjoyed that. I can't remember much else to it apart from the animation style was a lot like Family Guy, even though it was like 30 years apart. The wife, from my memory, was Lois, like same haircut, same nose, same sort of figure, and all the rest of it. Yeah, those are my memories from the video, man.
So you've just
Yours?
unlocked one for me, and it's random. But the original one I was thinking of is one I always go back to. I'll give you a clue. His wings are like a shield of steel. Come on, Tony.
Oh, wings. I a name comes to mind, but I feel like I'm gonna let you down here.
Come on, come on.
Wings. Wait,
My wings
Brave
are a
Star.
shield of. Oh, you got the.
Eh.
Batfink.
Oh yes, yeah.
Batfink. That was it. I just remember that was the video that I'd get repeatedly. And another one is Button Moon.
Yes,
Button
yes,
Moon. I don't know why that stuff was so weird. It was just milk cartons and egg cups and stuff, but that stuff used to
yeah.
mesmerize me. Button Moon.
And really sorry to cut you off there. Pause a second, Sean. There you go. We've talked about Button Moon, as you were.
Like, are all your friends? I'm hoping your friends are going to really react to this because this is relevant to all of them. Button Moon, man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Such a random show.
on the
Button
moon with Mister
Moon.
Spoon. Yeah, and like you say, it was just fairy liquid bottles, some empty milk cartons, just some ragtag Teddy. It was in there as well, and like buildings made out of wooden blocks. Magical, man, actual magical,
Do you remember?
brilliant show.
You remember? What they called? Teeny Tom and Tiny. What are they? Teeny Tom and
Tots
Tiny.
TV.
Tots TV. Right. Do you
Yeah,
remember how, like, in obviously when we'd watch it, you'd have Tom and Tiny English and little girl French, would she? Teeny was French.
Tilly
Tilly,
French. Yeah,
sorry, Terry, sorry, yeah, Tilly Tom and Tiny. And so I remember going to the Dominican Republic when I was 15, and that was on. And she was English and I
okay.
was Spanish. I was like, man, I want to record. She said, like, put them all together so I know what she's fucking saying finally. It was just so weird because it was always one of them. Like, it's like when Chewbacca talks, like everyone understands him, but you. You're like, oh, just got to agree
Yeah,
with
yeah.
what they're saying. Got to kind of go with what they're saying. But I'd like to put the episodes next to each other. I've got one I've just thought of, right, from a 90s kids TV show. I love talking about these. Well, I don't know if you've ever done one of your videos on it. And I don't know if you remember it because this again, like you said with Eerie Indiana, it's one of those. Am I the only one that watched it? Aquila.
hmm
Do you remember the show Aquila?
I have had it requested. A bunch of people have requested it. I don't remember it for Beans on Toasto at all.
No, so it's about two boys. It's a British show, and it's two boys that find a little red ship called Aquila, and it's like from what I remember, it was a Roman had it before them, so it's been like buried since Roman times. It's an alien ship, and they find the ship and go on adventures with it. It goes invisible, mate. It was like the era of like Wolf, the Queen's Nose,
Right.
Aquila man. Not Aquila man, but Aquila was fucking awesome. I always wanted to know what happened with that.
No, it was something that if I did see it again, it's just got filed to the back and never really remembered. But you're not alone there. I do remember it being requested a bunch. You might have requested it as well at some
I
point.
think I did. I think I did.
Yeah. I don't remember that spaceship program. There was one. It was more 80s, and it was about two kids who found a spaceship or got sucked up into a spaceship. It was, I think it was called
Listen,
Teabag or something like that.
wait. Do they make their own spaceship?
I don't think they made it.
Right, because I'm gonna quick, obviously, let's keep the thing to going. There's a film with River Phoenix in. I want to see if this triggers your memory. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember
So
what
the,
it's called.
the, the show I remember, I do remember it being English, like British. I don't remember
Oh,
it
okay.
being, and it was a TV show as well. I can't. Oh, God, I suppose I can use this for Google. But no, I'm going to Google it another time, and I'll make a TikTok video about it.
So there's a movie called Explorers with River Phoenix in, and him and his mates make a little spaceship out of basically like trash cans and that, and they end up going on a ship. I'll show you. Don't know if you can see the picture. It's not very good. Oh, this is where we need Woody because he can bring stuff up on the screen. Doesn't matter. But I thought it might be that. So explain to me. Explain to me. 80's. I went straight down that head. So it's an 80's TV show. You think, and they get sucked up onto a
Yeah,
spaceship.
yeah. Or they get not like abducted because I think that maybe that's too harsh for a kids show. But they end up on a spaceship, and again a little bit of like Flight of the Navigator where they're trying to like guide through the universe to get back home, and there's all kinds of like it's quite Doctor Who-ish as well. There's like Doctor Who style villains in there, and like all the sets are quite 80s Doctor Who, cardboard sets and all the rest of it. And for some reason, like teabag or teacup or some sort of like teapot saucer kind of name is in my head for it. And in fact, do you know what? Let's try and make this a little more engaging. I'm not going to do any research on it. If someone who is watching or listening remembers or has an idea what I'm talking about, hit it up.
All right. So basically, Tony wants you to go Google teabaggy, and see what you can come back with.
Teabagging young kids. That's kind of those are the key words you should be typing into your Google machine right now.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. It's because I hate stuff like this. I'm a nightmare for trying to, like, if someone's, I want to find out as well. So I want to know what you're talking about. Teabag or the little saucer, something like that come in my head. The little saucer. Oh, British show.
So let's move on because we're going to be here scratching our heads,
Yeah, we're
and
gonna
probably
be.
what's going to happen is we're going to be going to bed, and at like 3:45 in the morning, just as we're deep in sleep. I remember. So we'll go past this now. I've got a question for you, and this question is going to open up into two actually. So you're Ryan. You're today. You're in present day. You go to sleep. You wake up, and it's 1992. You're in 1992, but you're today, Ryan. You're older. You're grayer. You're balder. You're hairier on your back, and all the rest of it.
I don't
What
want to
three
live.
things? What three things that are maybe in your room or on your person do you want to wake up with? We're going to bar friends and family from this. It's only got to be material objects.
It would have to be because I mean I've still got a Mega Drive, so it wouldn't be my Mega Drive. It'd be my Master System with Alex the Kid built in, or Alex Kid.
Hmm.
I also, and I keep thinking about it as a kid, I had like this Batman. It was the Batman '89. It was kind of like, remember them little driving games when you were a kid? Like they had the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
shitty screens on. I had one and it had
yeah.
the front of the Batmobile on it. And it was really cool. I'd want that because that is one of the toys I remember as a kid. Number three, mm, probably my dignity, if I'm honest. I'd like my dignity back because I was innocent and didn't and hadn't done a lot of the stupid things I've done now. What about you?
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. So, what would I bring back? I would. Oof. So, see, 1992 was definitely pre Power Rangers, so I didn't
Yeah.
have any Power Ranger toys. But going along with the Batman, I had a lot of Batman toys, so I will pick my Batcave.
Oh,
I had like a three-story Batcave where all the Bat action took place. So I'll probably have that. There was a lot of fun in that. I had a thing called Now I did have real Lego. Don't get it twisted. I had real Lego, but I also had a thing called Better Blocks, which was ordered from the back of a magazine or off like some Sky Channel, and they were like Lego, but if you like put them together, they would also bend and you could manipulate them. They weren't like like structured like that, and they also glow in the dark. So that was pretty cool. And the adverts were sick. Like there was like a kid who dressed up in like a sort of like a ninja outfit. He had all this shield on. He had this big like katana sword made out of glowing bricks, and then like these other kids made a fairground and shit. And like in reality, you only had like 50 blocks, so that you none of that was happening.
Yeah, unless your mum went out and
But
bought
I
you millions of them.
exactly. So yeah, I'll take them. And my favorite bike, it wasn't a BMX, but it was a BMX. You know, it was bright blue, had bright blue tires on it. The the seat had no padding on it. It was just a raw plastic seat. And yeah, I really fucking loved that thing. And I also had my add-ons, so you know, I'd get the reflectors from the cornflakes; those would go on. This was a bit later on than '92, but McDonald's done the Batman Happy Meal toys with a load of bike accessories. So you had like the bat mirror, the bat horn, little bat
Squash can of
compartment.
Coke through the smoke, sound like make it sound
They,
like my bike.
See, I never done the Coke. I done it was never done a can. I had a bottle for that, but definitely done the same thing. And then you know, like just little memories of it. Of you know, as you ride up to your friend's house, you just fucking dash it on the floor, so then like the handlebars would like rub away, and it just yeah, just look like a tattered old piece of shit. But yeah, man, that was my favorite bike. I'd have that fucker back.
Made me
No,
think
it'd be a bit weird being fucking 6 foot trying to like try and ride around that tiny little thing, but I'd have it.
my Ghostbusters firehouse as well. I forgot about that.
Oh, I never had the
Oh,
firehouse, but
again,
yeah,
when
man.
I go back to some of the ghosts, but I had Ecto 2, which was the helicopter. It used to have like a gun, like a gun action to
Oh,
make it
yeah,
spin,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that all the Ghostbusters toys. You had it wasn't like you had the normal proton pack, and I had the little trap as well. But you also had the
yeah,
proton
yeah,
gun where you could like put the picture up on the wall, or there's the one with the foam cannons. There's
yeah,
you got
yeah.
them sort of guns when you were a kid. All them little shit that you had when you were a kid. Oh, mate.
Did you have any shitty little toys that you were really fond of? Like not something that you know was big or like you know had a big like license name to perhaps or anything like that, but just something kind of obscure. Like, did you have something that you hung on to? You know, maybe it was out of comfort, maybe it was out of like sentimental value. Do you have a, like you know just some shitty toy no one else had, but it was one of your favorites?
Yeah, probably. But like, I'm trying to think, and like, all I'm seeing when I look around my room is everything newer that I bought. So something that I kept hold of that no one else would have had. Oh, mate.
Not necessarily
Have you,
something that you've got now, but like just as a kid, you know, you had
you kept hold of
that
it?
one
Yeah, I know
toy
what you
that
mean.
yeah.
Ah, have you got anything? Well, I think.
So yeah, I had a off-key transformer. It was tiny, man. It was only like this big. It was I don't know where I even got it from. I don't remember buying it, but it was like micro machine size little transformer turned into an aeroplane or no, a space shuttle, and then looked a little bit like the White Tiger Zord when he was in warrior mode. Yeah, just this little fucking trinkety thing. I'll take it everywhere, and like you know, for car journeys, just turn him into the man, turn him back into the ship, put him up against the window, make him look like he's flying, back into the man. You know, um, don't know where it was from. Definitely wasn't a transformer, but it was a transformer. Loved that thing. And then also one other thing was a Tony the Tiger little figurine from Frosties, and it was all red. There was no detail to it. It was just all one color red, and he was on a windsurfer. Carry that fucker around for no reason. Couldn't do much. All it couldn't float in the bath. It couldn't like stand up by itself. But yeah, just had my little Tony the Tiger toy.
Them little toys used to get out the cereals, man. I think we touched on it when we spoke about cereals, but like I remember the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. My mum found one in the drawer, and we did we didn't even live here when I was into it. She found one in an old drawer. You used to get like they were from the movie little figures. They looked nothing like the Power Rangers, but because they were
Hmm.
Power Rangers licensed, I had to have every single one of them. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember I stayed at my friend's house, and obviously the one I wanted the most was the White Ranger. I want Tommy. I remember sitting around my mate's house. We'd gone away like to Clacton or something for the weekend, and we got back to his house. And in the morning, his little brother tipped out the bowl, and the White Ranger fell out of his cereals. And I just sitting there like that. And I just remember the next minute, I just remember that the whole room felt guilt for me because I'd gone on
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
oh, if you get the White Ranger, that'd be really cool. That's the one I want. And it fell out, and everyone just sort of looked, and the little kid just he was like, "Here you go." And I was like,
No.
"Thanks, good boy." Well, fucking done, you little cunt. All right. Right. You fucking. I wouldn't have done that. I was fucking scared of everyone as a kid. I still am, to be honest, but I'm just had to really, really, really put on an act and act fucking hard sometimes. I ain't got a clue.
I completely believed it. Completely believed it,
I'm
mate.
scary as fuck, man. Oh, like a fucking, I don't know, like a geezer. I come from Basildon, don't I? But oh, mate, I could sit here and talk 90s the whole time. Would you like to know how long we've done?
Mm.
How long do you think we've done?
I'm saying we've probably done hour 10, hour 15.
Bang on, hour and 16 we've done. I'm not gonna lie, I remember looking at it when we started talking wrestling. I looked down, I was like, we've only done 10 minutes, feels like we're going for ages. And I looked down just now,
Yeah.
I went, oh no, we've done an hour and like 10, 15 minutes now. We're getting there. Um, but mate, to be honest, part of me's just completely forgotten about the camera and everything was there and just enjoyed to
Yeah.
remember the 90s and stuff like that. And I know we could delve down it, but I feel like at the moment we're getting to like a stalemate of where we could get down into this more without leaving a lot of dead air. Um,
And also, all chatting for another 2 hours.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we'll sit here for about 5 minutes, we'll think of something, and then next thing you know, we'll look, and it'll be 2.5 hours of a podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done enough to cover. It's just being me and you, and when we can come off, we'll probably
Yeah.
still have a bit of a conversation if you're not in a rush, with the routine. Have a quick
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
on the vape and that, and get finished. Um, as you can tell, we're both late 30s. Oh, it's horrible to say it. We've just discovered we've done five decades between over our life. That's really hit me. Like when putting them maths together, I was like, I got to about here on my hands for free, and I went, oh no, I'm not near the engine.
Just let's just double check this. So 80s, very, very, very little memories of, but we were in the 80s.
Mate, we did
90s,
4 years of it. We did 4 years of the 90s, 80s,
I
sorry.
mean, and that's getting on half of the 80s. So, and then the 90s, blitzed through, loved it. The 10s, some rocky
What
teenage years in
you
there, but then also coming into adulthood.
you've skipped one. You went straight from the 90s to the 10
Straight, oh
to
yeah,
2000.
fucking noughties, yeah. Yeah, so
Noughties the
okay,
third.
90s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s, into the 20s, and I think we're going to be good for living in the next 30s as well.
Uh, Fingers crossed. I'm hoping by then we'll have at least 12 listeners.
Please?
Yeah. Come on, guys. We're TikTok famous now because of our little growth of it. And to be honest, like it's mad, isn't it? Like going back to that video, like we were all sort of saying, like, oh, what we want from our podcast is people like-minded like us that love all the geeky stuff to listen. And now
Mhm.
you look at every follower we've got, it's a mum. It's a lot of the followers are mum. It's like very rarely over the obviously we've gained because me and Woody actually spoke on Saturday an hour before I posted the video, and we were saying, oh, we're at like 98, 99 followers on TikTok. We're nearly at 100. Now we're at 900. We've gained in about 4 days 800 followers, and 99% of them are all mums, women. So like,
Mhm.
I hope that though women's listening, it's like, oh, the guys did a nice video. I wonder what they're talking about, and they're offended about what we do because it's just geezer talk. Uh,
Well, like I've said, hopefully some of these lovely mums out there are somewhat like-minded. Maybe they're into some dorky shit. Maybe there's a couple of that are into wrestling. Maybe there's some that want to reminisce about the 90s. Welcome aboard, and we're happy to have you. And if you're not, maybe you've got a
know
friend,
someone that
maybe you've got a
is.
husband, someone that is, and it's mission statement is all about building this network and getting us to grow and building a community where people can talk with each other about whatever it is they're into, and yeah, like all news is good news, and all viewers and followers all great. So welcome aboard. Happy to have you. Spread the word, spread the love, and if the female demographic continues to grow, maybe we need a resident dorkette.
Which maybe we should. Maybe we could go down that route. And we're also hoping and expecting that all of these women that have now found our podcast because of the TikTok have actually listened to an hour and 20 of a podcast to get to this point where we're telling them, hey, thanks for joining us. They didn't get bored after the first two
Yeah.
minutes. Oh, here we go. With that in mind, if you haven't already and you're watching this on TikTok, not on TikTok, sorry, on YouTube or listening on Spotify and you haven't followed our socials, at Talk Dog Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Tony's going to hopefully take on the OnlyFans account very soon. I know he's very excited about that. A lot of naked dorks. That's your job.
No, not dorks for stalks.
Yeah, dogs for stalks. Yeah, onlydorks.com. Make sure you go follow us on everything. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. This is where I should insert that little video of Ronnie saying talks with dogs, like and subscribe. But I'm not as clever as Woody. Woody could do that. We'll make him do it on the next one, maybe. We can get your kids to do it as well. We can get all the kids to do it. Woody's can do it when she starts talking.
Well, yeah, I mean, mine at the minute, they're saying words. I will do my best to train them to say some talks for dorks, some keywords, some hashtags for us. Yeah.
Got to get the kids involved. A little bit of child labour. What can we get? What can we get out? I think, well, we're trying to make a successful podcast. We'll get our kids involved as well. Why not?
And their keep.
I'm Ryan. That's Tony. Tony, as I always say, I'm
Yep.
pretty sure I know what you're going to bring up. Any final words from you?
Follow me on TikTok as well, Tony of Bingus. It's all, like we've said, it's all 90s. And my final parting words to all you lovely yogurt chewing wet mouths is see you later.
Just stop. What is with you and Woody stealing my lines, right? And if you're going to self-plug yourself at the DJ Ryan F, all right, he's got more followers than me. I need to get up to the 35k mark, all right? Forget the podcast, forget Tony. I need more followers. And while you're at it, Woody, come back because me and Tony are going to end up getting in an argument. Love yous. See you later. I've said it as well.